Now, WBOC News at 5 on Fox 21.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Weimer. This is WBOC News at 5. We've got some breaking news out of Cambridge. We don't know much. We know a woman was beaten on High Street. We have a crew there right now. Our Midshore Bureau Chief, Tyler Butler. Tyler, lots of police activity. Tell us what's going on.
Good evening, Chris. Here's what we know so far. Cops say that earlier today there was some sort of domestic incident where a man beat a woman here on High Street. Now, later in the afternoon here, a neighbor say they saw that same man outside his house with some type of weapon. Now, that woman from earlier in the day, she was flown to shock trauma. We don't know what condition she's in at this time. Since police say that this man was seen here with a weapon, they're now out here. They are not sure if he's holed up either inside the house or in the wooded area behind the house. Now, as far as I can ascertain from the neighbors here, they're saying that the focus has really been on this house over here with the black and white shingles, and that does seem earlier. I saw some police out here with guns drawn, assault rifle type weapons drawn. They were around that house at the time. So this area on High Street here, that's where we are now, a little bit farther up from the downtown area. It is all closed off here to traffic. They're diverting people around. We have not heard any gunshots so far. No word on any arrests so far either. Chris?
Tyler Butler, thank you. Tyler Butler just getting to the scene of some sort of situation on High Street. We do have him there. We also have Chopper 16. It is on its way to the scene as well. We're going to stay with this story, bring you whatever we can figure out as soon as we figure that out. Well, we now know the name of the man police say is responsible for assassinating 5 police officers and wounding several others in Dallas, Texas. Police say he was 25-year-old Micah Johnson, a recluse with no criminal record. 5 officers were killed, at least 7 others wounded. The attack made it the deadliest day for police since 9/11. Now, last night, peaceful protests in Dallas erupted into chaos as shots suddenly rang out. As we said, 12 officers were hit, 5 of them injured. 5 of them killed, 7 injured. 2 civilians also wounded. Police contained Johnson, negotiated with him for hours. Johnson told police he was acting alone. Negotiations broke down with Johnson. Police got into a gunfight. Officers then used a bomb attached to a robot to kill him. This morning, the city's captain addressed the violence.
We're hurting, and we need this community. We need citizens to show officers that they appreciate their sacrifice.
We also know a little bit more about Johnson. Police say he was in the Army Reserve. He did one tour in Afghanistan. The police ambush in Dallas sent a chill through law enforcement around the country. The city's police chief, who you heard earlier, a 30-year veteran of the department, and as Kenneth Craig reports, his emotional reaction reverberated to Washington and beyond.
The Dallas police chief faced the cameras and spoke straight from the heart.
There are no words to describe the atrocity that occurred to our city. All I know is that this must stop.
Chief David Brown lost 5 officers in the ambush. He says many ran straight towards the gunfire to protect the panicking crowd.
So please join me in applauding these brave men and women who do this job under great scrutiny, under great vulnerability.
The news reached President Obama at a NATO summit in Poland, where he said there is no possible justification.
What we do know is that there has been a vicious, calculated, and despicable attack on law enforcement.
House Speaker Paul Ryan says Congress is stunned.
An attack on the people who protect us is an attack on all of us.
We don't feel much support most days. Let's not make today most days. Please, we need your support.
Flags on federal buildings are at half-staff, marking the deadliest day for U.S. law enforcement since 9/11. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Dallas.
The Dallas police chief called the shootings an evil tragedy, says the force will not rest until they get justice. This morning, before the opening bell in New York, a moment of silence on the New York Stock Exchange, a moment to honor those fallen officers in Dallas. Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, she postponed her campaign events in Scranton, Pennsylvania today in response to those deadly attacks on police in Dallas. Her campaign says she will reschedule the events for a later time. Clinton was scheduled to appear with Vice President Joe Biden again today. That was supposed to be in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump also canceled his campaign event in Miami today in response to the shootings. Trump tweeted early this morning, "Prayers and condolences to all the families who are so thoroughly devastated by the horrors we are all watching take place in our country." Thursday night's attack comes in the wake of recent videos that have surfaced showing two African-American men being shot and killed by police officers. One of them happened in Minnesota. Police there have identified those two officers involved in that deadly shooting of Philandro Castile. The 32-year-old father shot and killed during a traffic stop Wednesday night. Police say Officer Geronimo Yanez fired the shots that killed Castile. His girlfriend live streamed the shootings and the aftermath, on Facebook. Investigators say that video and police car video are critical pieces of evidence, but prosecution could be hard.
You know, the law in the state of Minnesota gives a lot of protections to police officers.
The Justice Department is monitoring the investigation. A mass is planned for later tonight in Minnesota. Wicomico County Sheriff Mike Lewis is reacting to the shootings in Dallas and the killings of those two men in Minnesota, the other in Louisiana. He says in all his career, he's never seen an environment quite like this.
This is a very, very challenging time for our country. I've never seen it like this in 33 years of law enforcement. Do I hold the President of the United States responsible for what's happened? Absolutely not. But he has steadily fueled the flames ever since he came into office, and it started in 2009 following the arrest of Henry Louis Gates, a Harvard law professor, where he openly said before he knew any facts that law enforcement had acted stupidly.
Sheriff Lewis says a drastic change doesn't need to come from law enforcement, but from America as a whole. Well, the heat wave continues on Delmarva as we look live at Rehoboth Beach from our Boardwalk Plaza hotel cam. Another hot and humid day, that's for sure. It's now day 4 of the heat wave. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Dan Satterfield in the Storm Tracker Weather Center. Good afternoon, Dan. Dan, is there any relief in sight?
Well, there is. There's actually some rain on radar right now, and we have a cool front that's going to bring the temperatures down on Sunday, but tomorrow will still be hot. Right to radar, first of all. Nothing severe, but some pretty good thunderstorms in the area right now. They're moving slowly to the east-southeast. They're moving in on Centerville and Easton. A new cell has developed down there to the southeast of D.C. That's going to probably cross over into the Cambridge area here in just a little bit. Temperatures are pretty hot out there ahead of that rain, though. 90 in Easton, 91 in Salisbury. Of course, the humidity extremely high. Dew points in the mid-70s. The heat indexes in many spots today did get close to 100. Heat index at Assateague is at 101. We'll see storms tonight, a few. Most of us, though, probably will miss out. Tomorrow, back into the low 90s, the heat index near 100. We'll talk about Sunday's cool down, if you can call it that, in a bit.
A possible serial killer behind bars. Coming up, police say he's responsible for violently murdering several homeless men. How they caught him, why they say he's the killer. That's next when WBOC News at 5 continues. We're continuing to follow breaking news out of Cambridge. We've got some word, a woman beaten on High Street. We checked back in with you at the top of the show, Tyler. Midshore Bureau Chief Tyler Butler, I should say. What more?
Chris, to recap, here's what we know so far. Again, earlier this morning, there was a man and a woman. They had some sort of domestic altercation. The man beat the woman. She was beat up pretty badly. She was flown to shock trauma. She is now apparently listed in stable condition. She has not died. That's a rumor floating around out here. She's not died. She is in stable condition. Now at 4 p.m., the police got a call from neighbors saying that they saw this man in the backyard with a long gun. 2 neighbors called. They've just searched his house. They did not find him inside. What they're doing now is a canvass of the neighborhood with canines to try and find him. They say the man is not from the area, but they could use anybody's help trying to find him. His description is he's a bald man. He's wearing tan shorts with no shirt, 140 pounds. Again, he's not from the area. He's not in the house. They're doing that dog search now. Chris, we'll turn it back to you in the Newsplex.
Tyler Butler continuing to follow that developing story out of Cambridge. Tyler, we appreciate it. Well, police say a man is behind bars in connection with a string of attacks on homeless people in San Diego. The suspect expected to be booked on 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. Police did not provide information regarding a motive for the attacks. John Soderman reports.
This is 36-year-old Anthony Paget. On Thursday morning, San Diego police homicide detectives arrested him in connection with a chilling spasm of attacks on San Diego's homeless community while they slept, where over a 4-day period, 2 homeless men were beaten to death, 2 others left clinging to life, 2 of the 4 set on fire. According to a Chula Vista newspaper, Paget was sentenced to state prison 6 years ago for setting a homeless man on fire near a Food for Less store in Chula Vista. On Paget's Facebook page, he posted a photo of a document stating he'd been released from prison. San Diego police say Paget was arrested in Chula Vista near the intersection of Woodlawn and H Streets. Before the news of Paget's arrest, when this surveillance photo was released, a photo showing a man leaving a convenience store after buying a gasoline can hours before the first homeless victim was set on fire, a serial killer profiler told a local radio station whoever the killer was had an internal rage against homeless men that was almost volcanic, especially with 2 of the homeless men being set on fire after being severely beaten. But as big of a deal, the news of this arrest is San Diego police hardly spiked the football on this one, saying a lot of investigative work still needs to be done.
We still have witnesses that we need to interview and locate. We still have evidence that needs to be processed in the crime lab, and this all takes time, and we'll be doing that around the clock.
Possible serial killer behind bars now in San Diego. Delmarva stands with Dallas. That's a new story we're working on for WBOC News at 6. We sat down with some local law enforcement today who are hurting. Tonight at 6, see how the community of Georgetown in particular came together to pay their respects for the lives lost down in Texas. And an artificial reef off Delaware's coast is suffering major damage after a winter storm 6 months ago. Those are some of the news stories tonight at 6. Well, it looks like we've got at least one more hot day ahead of us. Looking live at Ocean City, you have to imagine beaches will be packed this week, and we might see some relief from the heat, though, as the weekend winds down. Chief Meteorologist Dan Satterfield joins us next.
WBOC and Fox 21 honoring Delmarva farmers.
The Holland family of Worcester County, Maryland is on a journey. They're on it every single day. It's taken them from being the last dairy farm in the county to the first cow-to-cone operation on Maryland's eastern shore.
My wife's really good at ice cream and really good at that technical side of making it, and I can kind of keep everything, the milk in the tank and the equipment running, and just kind of built from there.
A raspberry ice cream.
Their first shop on Route 50 near Berlin is into its 2nd decade, and the quaint parlor chalet on their farm near Pocomoke City is a place where human beings reconnect with the world.
The milk that goes into this ice cream comes from right next door there from the cows.
And along the way, children with chores have grown into young people with jobs, which is how it goes out here.
As you get older, you see what your relatives are doing, your uncles, your father, and that's kind of what I've been blessed in a way. I have so many relatives and neighbors that are good farmers and do different things, and you kind of watch and learn from other farmers around you.
Honoring Delmarva farmers is made possible by the support of our local sponsors, Preston Automotive Group, Walls Irrigation, and Alan Harem.
Another hot one.
Pretty
Day
brutal.
4 of a heat wave, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, today I think was day 4. We'll
Yeah.
end it tomorrow with day 5.
We will.
It's going to be a temporary end. We're going to have several days of pleasantly warm weather, but the heat will come
Coming
back
Okay.
next week. And I've just gotten a new look at the European guidance. This next heat wave, Chris, is going to be worse than this one.
Worse.
Hotter.
Longer or hotter?
Hotter and longer.
Okay.
Let's show you what's happening out there. We'll start with our Hertrick camera in Easton. Beautiful morning, but then the heat really began to build up. We now have thunder showers in the area, nothing severe, but they are increasing and spreading out. So we're going to cool off a little bit. That last shot, you can see it clouded up there over on the Tread Avon River. Here's radar. There is some severe thunderstorm and watch warning activity down to our south. That's not going to bother us. I'll zoom in here on the radar. You can see it's coming in toward Cambridge now, stretching all the way up towards Centerville and Chestertown, back into the Baltimore area, and even some showers developing now just to the Dover area. Just at the edge of the scope here, you can see another cell southeast of Millsboro that's just beginning to pop up, just rain beginning to come to the ground. There is a front well to the west. That's not what's causing this rain. This is just a little upper level trough coming through. But tomorrow evening, that next front, here's the outline of it right there. That will come through, might kick off a few scattered storms. The rain chance tomorrow, though, probably not as high as today. It gives you an idea. However, the temperatures will edge down a bit behind that front. Not a lot, though. Behind that front, it's still in the 80s this afternoon. 89 in Indianapolis. They're right on the front. 84 in Pittsburgh. The heat really baking the south today. 95 Charlotte, 96 down in Birmingham, 96 in Big Pebble, Little Rock, and 100 degrees out in the West Texas town of El Paso. 91 the high in Dover. 92 Salisbury, 93 in Georgetown. A weak sea breeze, though, on the beaches has brought the temperature down a bit, although it's still 85 at the Ocean City Inlet. Rehoboth, right on the boardwalk, at 81. Assateague, though, still at 89. So that sea breeze is quite weak, and inland temperatures are the low 90s. Here's the real problem. The dew point's way up there between 72 and 77. That is just really sloppy, wet air. Dew point as high as 72 all the way up to Trenton this afternoon. The heat index, at times, it got near 100 today in a few spots. At Assateague, it's 101 right now, mainly 90 to 94, except near those thunderstorms. The winds are getting a little bit of outflow in Dover from those thunder showers now, a west wind at 10 and a west wind at 13 in Salisbury. That wind has actually picked up a bit out of the west. That's blocking the sea breeze. That's why the beaches have actually started to warm back up a little bit. Now, here's the short-range computer guidance. You can see some rain coming through. Maybe some thunderstorms in a few spots. And then overnight, it's just muggy. During the day tomorrow, as this front approaches, another day of very hot, muggy air. However, showers and thunderstorms will be scattered, and I do mean widely scattered. The rain chance not that high as that front comes through, and tomorrow just as hot as today. But we'll be back down into the 80s with a west breeze and a little lower humidity on Sunday, and that will linger into Monday and Tuesday as well. Tonight, though, warm, very muggy, mid-70s, a few storms about. Tomorrow, back into the low 90s. The winds pick up out of the southwest in the afternoon. Rain chance probably no higher than 30%, 91 in Salisbury around 4 o'clock. Then down to 86 Sunday, 85 Monday. Looking ahead, by the way, the heat starts back Thursday, and I think all of next weekend is going to be brutal. Mid-90s, heat index 105.
Dan, thank you. If you're just joining us, we are following breaking news. A woman was beaten in Cambridge. Right now, police are searching for a suspect. Roads are blocked off. All police there on the scene. We're going to check back in with Tyler when we come back. Hey, if you want to let him know, my first question will probably be, if he doesn't get into it, the sense of what people are like in that community, what they're feeling, if there's an urgency, if there's tension or anything like that, to give people a feel, so he can just prepare to answer that. Oh, okay. I was going to say, if you want to let Tyler know, one of the questions I'd like to ask him is just the sense of what the atmosphere is like there for the people, for the officers, if it's tense, if it's just so we can read the room. And then they can just...
4, 5, mic check, mic check, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mic check, mic check.
As we continue to follow breaking news out of Cambridge, police are searching for a suspect after a woman was beaten and sent to the hospital. Tyler Butler, Midshore Bureau Chief, is on the scene. I think I hear Chopper 16 even, but Tyler, what's the latest?
Chris, as you can see behind me, the road is now back open here. It was barricaded for some time now. Let's take a look from Chopper 16. That's really the best vantage point we can get right now. Police went inside the house that they believed he was in, the man who beat this woman with a long gun. They did not find him inside that house. So now they're canvassing the surrounding neighborhoods, the woods behind the house, using canines and just good old-fashioned on-foot police work. That's where things stand right now. The man they're looking for, he's bald. He does have facial hair. He's an African-American man, 140 pounds. He's wearing tan shorts and no shirt. Right now they're saying don't engage with him. They believe he is armed and dangerous, but they are saying if you see him, please call police. They are looking for him now. Chris?
But I do have a question. You've had a few minutes to get there and settle yourself and find out what's going on. Have you talked to anybody around there? What's the sense you're getting from people in the community as this goes on?
A bit of an excitement. It's sort of a sense of people are saying that, oh, sorry, I'm stepping on somebody's foot here. It's a combination of excitement. A lot of people saying stuff like this doesn't really happen here. There's a bit of nervousness knowing that this man isn't sort of in that containment zone anymore. The group is sort of dispersed now that the police are no longer here, so that's dying down a little bit, but police are now spreading out throughout the area.
Midshore Bureau Chief Tyler Butler. Thank you, Tyler, for getting out there so fast. We appreciate you being there and keeping us informed on what's going on. A search for a suspect going on right now in Cambridge. We will stay there. Chopper 16 is flying high as well. We're going to have more on that coming up at 6 o'clock on WBOC. We'll be right back.
I'm watching some rain move over northern Delmarva. Nothing severe. We'll keep an eye on those showers, though. Here's a look at the forecast. Tomorrow, a hot day, up to 94 in a few spots. Scattered storms as the front comes through, and then a break from the heat. And the humidity will edge down too, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. By late next week, though, the heat will come back, and it may be even hotter this next time.
Thanks for joining us for WBOC News at 5. Don't forget, for News Anytime, you can get it now on WBOC.com. Join us for the latest news and weather on WBOC News at 6. We'll see you in 30 minutes.